Happy Sunday, happy Sunday, happy Sunday. If you're new here, welcome, and I hope you enjoy and you stay and you subscribe, because I'm an awesome person and I think that you would really get something from this channel, even if it's not from this video, but any other video. So go ahead and what is plus? Go ahead and press that subscribe button right now and let's get started. The other day, sorry if this camera's all over the place, it's because I wanted to sit here but I couldn't find anywhere that I could really put the camera to just be still, so here we are. Anyways, I said that I wanted to talk about different things I've learned in marriage so far, and I said I was going to talk about intimacy today. So what I've learned so far when it comes to intimacy is that healing from prior things that have hurt you can affect your intimacy with your spouse. And this is what I mean by that. It doesn't necessarily mean trauma or hurt from a previous relationship. It could just be how you view the opposite sex. Like, say for example, it could just been how I view men to begin with that can affect the intimacy between my husband and I. And now when some people, hold on, let me fix this real quick because this is getting on my nerve. 1 minute. All right, we're good now. So intimacy to some people might automatically equate to having sex or whatever. No, intimacy to me is just that vulnerable moment you share with your spouse, and that can be damaging if you're not healed from certain things, or if you're not talking about certain things with your spouse. Say for example, my husband is a PDA type of person. He would hold my hands if he wants to and things like that. For me, I wasn't like that, and that was mainly because that's not how I was brought up. Not saying that it was a negative thing. I just never had that affection from a man before, so I never cared for PDA. I never cared for holding hands or doing all that cutesy wootsy stuff in public. I was just like, I mean, you right next to me, so why should I have to show that we're together? And that's something that I had to work on, where it was weird when he would grab my hand and we're in public and I'm just like, what is happening? Like, in my mind, it's literally like, what is happening right now? And I had to figure out, where did that come from? Like, why, if this my man, why I don't want to hold his hand? Why I don't want to give him a little in public? And that was because of the lack of affection I've never gotten from any man. Like, majority of my life, love towards me was always from a woman. Whether it be my mom, my best friend, my sister, always came from a woman. And that's what I equated love to be. Not necessarily in a I'm not even gonna mention that, but it always came from a woman. So when it came from a man, it was just like, I questioned it, and that played a part in me being intimate with my husband, because it's like I mentioned before, my definition of being intimate is being vulnerable, is that vulnerable space between you and your spouse. And I would say it did affect how vulnerable I was to him, because it was so easy for me to open up to other women, certain women, women that were in my circle. But when it came to him, it was like I always had to go into like a little bubble, and I was just like, what what's happening. So that was one thing that affected our intimacy, and I had to learn and I had to grow, and we definitely had to talk about it. And it's what the biggest thing I've learned in marriage as well is compromise. And it's just like, well, your husband wants to show you off to the world that you're his, you know, yeah, that you're his. Let him do that, because that's taking something away from him as well. So it's not all the time. And I've learned to actually enjoy that as I've been growing, as I've been healing. I've learned, and I'm like, okay. And a big part of that was Jesus showing me myself, and Jesus showing me what are the things that are problematic for me. So now that I've grown since then, we don't do it all the time, but I wouldn't mind holding his hand in public now. I wouldn't mind giving him a little smoochy wooch. So that was one thing. So healing from things like that. Now, another thing, I feel like a lot of things can affect intimacy because of trauma as well. Unfortunately, I was, as a child, I was molested as a child, and that played a role in when it came to me being vulnerable with my husband and being intimate with him as well. And it's like showing him that side of me, and it's just like I never realized how much of that played a role in my adult life, because I always really had problems trusting men in general. So that's why I believe I never had a desire to be married, and I never had a desire to be in a relationship. I just didn't care. I was happy with the female relationships that I've had. My friends were awesome. My mother was awesome, and I was just like, I'm good. I don't need a man. I'm great, you know? I'm great with just being single. And I would cheer on my friends that, you know, want to be married and do that, because it's like, yeah, I clearly can trust a man. I can't. And opening that part of me, and it was just like, there's just certain things that are triggers for me, and we definitely had to talk about that. And I feel like before getting married, you definitely have to talk about things that you're okay with and what you're not okay with. And the things that you're not okay with, unless they're completely off the wall, then that's something different. But if it's something like simple that you feel like, oh, why wouldn't you want to do this with me, you have to talk about that with your spouse. And now I'm not going to get into the details of what I don't like to do, but it was mainly because it was caused by that trauma, and he understands. And it's like working through that, and it's like there's a whole bunch of things you can do to be intimate with your spouse. It doesn't have to be that one thing. So let's discover something that we both would love to do with each other and stuff like that. But I think it's very important to just heal from certain things, whether it is traumatic or not. Like me not having that affection or love from a man as a child or just growing up, I don't really relate that to a trauma. It was just something that was just absent from my life, you know? So I just didn't know how to be that with a man. But now when it comes to the sexual abuse, that's traumatic, and that not only happened in my childhood but as an adult as well. So it took a lot. And I'm just grateful that God has blessed me with a husband that has shown me patience and grace and in certain areas of my life, because there's certain things that still get to me to this point. But through conversation, I've really learned to trust my husband with certain things and know that he will handle the information that I've given him with care. And that is what truly has built our intimacy with each other. I'd be lying if I said there's still not things that are hard for me to talk about and be vulnerable, but I know at the end of the day, sorry, I'm with my husband forever until the Lord calls us home. And I just pray that, you know, he will always continue to be patient with me, and I'm with him as well, because there's certain things that, you know, that may be troubling with him that could affect our intimacy, and we just have to work it out. And it literally is just through conversation and trusting, like, Lord, if this person is my spouse, then I would hope that they seek you first, and then we can work these things out together. But that's another thing that I've learned so far through my marriage. So I hope you learned something from it. But remember, like I said, I'm not a marriage counselor, you know. I'm just here sharing what I've learned in my little year and some change of being married. February's coming up quick. 2 years coming up quick. But yeah, all right, that's all I got. Love you guys, but Jesus loves you most, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Man, it's day 46. These days flying by. Honestly, I can't wait till I could just record when I want instead of every day. I don't know why I added this to the 75 part. This is definitely the first time that I've recorded something every day. And I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting my channel to just blow up and grow and do all these things, and I'm still believing for that. But at the same time, when random people just hit me up and be like, hey, yeah, I watched your video, and I don't know them, that makes me feel awesome, because I'm like, okay, I'm not just doing these videos in vain. So if you made it to the end of this long video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and share this video with someone that you love. And I'll see you next time.